And I was like, okay, first of all, I didn't know whether to determine whether he was talking about Monus Tollens or Monus Ponens. I went with Monus Ponens. Found out later, I think he was talking about Monus Tollens. I actually corrected that comment to him because you never know what a flat earther's thinking, right? But he conflated them together and came up with Modus Pollens. And I'm like, that's hilarious because you're telling me I don't know. But that'd be a logical structure, right? If I have in the form P implies Q, P therefore Q, that's always logically valid. And I was just in a group not long ago on Facebook trying to explain that premise. If I said something along the lines of, if the moon is made of green cheese, I am a moose. The moon is made of green cheese, therefore I am a moose. That is logically valid. People are arguing that is not logically valid are just wrong. It is completely logically valid. It is P implies Q, P therefore Q, right?
There's nothing wrong with the structure of the argument. No, it's just the premises are ridiculous. But that has nothing to do with the logical structure. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
So when you see people committing logical errors, which ones you often see the most? Because I usually see that they try to have a structured argument, but they end up having a non sequitur, literally, because their conclusion doesn't fall from the premises.
Affirming the consequence is one that I see all the time.
You want to explain that
one? If A, then B, B, therefore A. So you sort of you reverse them.
It's basically the same thing as
if A implies B, then it's
right. You're denying the antecedent, basically.
Yeah. It basically would be saying that P implies Q. Q therefore P would be affirming the antecedent. Affirming the antecedent. And the other one would be denying the consequence.
Affirming the consequence.
Steve, did you have anything else as far as the fallacies that you want to go to? Because I wanted to talk about some of the works that Martymer does on his channel, like a little bit of how he kind of selects who he's going to do respond. So Martymer, I've followed your channel for a while, and I absolutely loved when you call out the that pastor that you always go after. I forget his name. What's the guy's name that you? It's the one that you always call it. He's a lying. He's like an event.
Jason Lyle.
Yes.
Dr. Jason Lyle. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Dr. Lyle.
That's one of. Right. So how do you decide? Everybody's got their kind of process when they just do a response video. What's yours? Like, what do you look for when? What about Lyle spoke to you that you needed to go after him?
Yeah, well, it was about physics and specifically astronomy, which is, I'm a physics teacher, so I'm big on physics, I'm big on math, and astronomy, astrophysics. They're sort of my favorite parts of physics. So that's important. That it's a subject that I'm interested in, and it's also important that I have a decent grasp of the subject in question. I never feel comfortable addressing someone who's talking about biology because I suck at it. For example. So, but then there's always, what do I want to teach my audience? Is there something that sometimes I go looking for someone who has said something stupid about this specific topic because I want to talk about it. And it's a fun way to give quick lessons to people when you present it in the context of, look at this moron who said something this incredibly stupid.
Yes. And who have you found
entertaining?
Who have you found to be the biggest moron that you've kind of done response videos to?
Well, that has to be Jordan of Spirit Science. He's just a gold mine of stupid.
And for people who might
really
might not be familiar,
he's basically a new age sort of almost cult leader who makes these videos where he's a pretty talented cartoonist. So he makes these cartoon videos that are really cute looking, but they're so full of stupid. Every sentence, just brain cells are jumping out your ears. No,
I'm not convinced he actually buys into his own bullshit. I think he's full of crap.
Believes it. I don't think it's that he doesn't believe it. I think he doesn't care. He just wants to say things and have people shower him with praise for saying something that sounds really clever, which it of course doesn't, but people are idiots.
That happens a lot, actually. And there's some,
So if someone is still unaware of what Jordan has said that I keep harping on about, it's that Jews are from space.
What?
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, it is true. I mean, I'm Jewish, by heritage because my mom. So
we have to dive into this a little bit. I feel like we have to dive into this a little bit.
He made a video about the some sort of like the hidden truth about human history that they don't want you to know. The big they don't want you to know. And so Atlantis was real, and people who lived on Atlantis were immortals and had superpowers. And by the way, at some point the Martians invaded, and also Jews are from space. And it just
the secret's out.
Piling on, and the Egyptians were telekinetic, and it just. and because statues of Egyptian pharaohs are 60 feet tall, that means that that's how tall the people were.
Clearly.
I have to tell you this, Martyr. We did have a guy on here one time. Do you know who Brian Forrester is?
Doesn't ring a bell.
He's big into the ancient civilizations, ancient aliens world. Like he's got a big channel that kind of focuses on that. But we had him on here a couple of months ago, and to go along with what you were saying about the Egyptians, he literally said that there were, and Steve can back me up on this, that there were Wi-Fi obelisks, that they had Wi-Fi enabled obelisks.
Yep.
Yeah, but
we don't know the frequency of their at. So
hidden on the pyramids. An airship.
We didn't get any technical
details. Fly in space, by the way.
Yeah, an airship. That's Adam. They were flying.
That's something to me. Well, there are the hieroglyphs that have the airplane and spaceship on it. So that's proof right there. You've seen that, Steve, right?
Well, they have they have the helicopter. Well, the helicopter on Abydos is actually two symbols. We're on something else, if I remember. They're two symbols that are put together. But then they also have these little symbols that are they've made out of like material gold, I think they were. But it was like an airplane, but it's not. It's a bumblebee. So it's just people read into what they want, right? But I still don't know what frequency they're at for the Wi-Fi. And have we found an Egyptian laptop yet? That's all I'm kind of curious, because that'd be really cool.
Obviously, that's what they're hiding under the pall of the Sphinx in the great Hall of Records, Steve. It's under the Sphinx pall. Obviously, that's where the laptops are. It's probably this guy.
Network. It's a LAN.
So there are people that are saying some things about this in the comments, and so we spoke a little bit about it before we came on, but you have a video and you have an interesting approach, I think, with Flat Earth. We deal with that a lot on our channel, but you actually have some videos on it as well. But you take a very hands-off approach when it comes to engaging Flat Earth, which I find interesting. And if we could go back, maybe Steve, we would maybe follow suit with that, because we kind of got lost in that rabbit hole. But what's your overall conclusion about that movement? in terms of why it's kind of gaining momentum and spreading?
Yeah, the reason I choose not to interact with them, I simply address, here's what I've heard them say, and here's how I respond to that. And I didn't even link to any of them specifically. This is the flat earther who said this. The reason is that I don't want to give them any attention, because I think a lot of them they're just doing it to get attention. I don't know if they believe their own bullshit or if they don't. I think they don't care about it. It has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. It has to do with being contrarian. It has to do with getting others who are also mind-numbingly stupid and ignorant about all the relevant subjects to shower them with praise for saying something that they think sounds like it makes sense. And makes them feel smart. And it just, yeah.
It's got to get under your skin, though.
Yeah.
Oh, got a little bit of lag. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was just going to say that, I've always said, and I know Kyle has also said that one of the reasons we think a lot of people get into this type of flat earth and spirit science and all this kind of nonsensical stuff is that, hate to say it, and this is merely my opinion, take it for what it's worth, but some people are just naturally stupid. And they want to think that they know things that other people don't know. They want to feel special in some ways. And by the way, I can't say that I'm excluded from that. In years ago when I was a theist, there is a there where you say, you know what, I know something about reality that the average person doesn't know, right? I have a knowledge about the divinity that the average person doesn't know, right? And it doesn't really give you an air of moral superiority in some ways. Some people it can, but it gave me, a more of a, God, I wish people would know more about this because I kind of feel sorry for them, right? And I think that flat earthers and things of that caliber, they're stupid to begin with, and that they don't want to take the time to actually try to even properly educate themselves, or they lack the ability to do so. Those people I don't find as fault as much as the people that I think probably have the potential to, but willfully don't. Those I hold to a higher standard of accountability. But I do think that they go out of their way to say these kind of things because they want this air of an intellectual superiority over the average person that they normally can't get. And I've been saying that for ages.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of them are also people who probably have no real understanding of how science education works. Likely they were very bad at it in school, or were homeschooled, or didn't even go to a proper school at all. And they are under the impression that science is taught the way religious dogma is taught. Here's what the book says. Here's the test. And the question is, what did the book say? Write the answer. Oh, okay, you can parrot facts. Because that's how religious dogma is taught. What does this Bible verse say? What does God think about homosexuals? How did Jesus die? It's just facts to be parroted. There's no understanding involved. That's not how science is taught. But unfortunately, I think in some places it is. Because
totally.
Science education in parts of the world sucks. But if you actually study science properly, you will. This approach to just memorize facts, it does not work. You won't get a single point on a test if you just memorize facts. You have to be able to figure things out, test things, evaluate things. And that's the distinction. And if you don't understand this distinction, then it's easy to say that, oh, you're just swallowing what NASA is telling you to believe.